How's it going, baby? How you living? How you living?
I really like to take this challenge for myself, aside of just being a musician.
She had a swishy jacket and some thing in her head.
Even it's really big for you.
Yeah, it's like the size of me.
Don't worry, I won't say anything stupid. I hope. It's just like a crazy metal band, like shooting everything up.
My advice is forget the movies and look for a good job.
My daughter is going to sleep, so I need to say goodnight to her.
I don't want terrible things to always be happening to me and my children.
I think I was more nervous when the movie was premiering and coming out, because then I realized that people actually had to see it.
Nice to escape the studio. We have the beautiful, not sunny English countryside behind us.
This country and this world can do a whole lot better.
Wow, what a presentation.
Right, like I want people to know that you didn't just show up now.
That's where the idea of the pancake came from.
But you're the only person ever who's ever asked me that question, ever.
Oh, wow.
Please help me welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mariah Belgrod. Oh, Mariah.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, it's great seeing you. How are you doing today?
Good. You know, I'm doing as well as I can with the circumstances in the world, and I'm really happy to be included in this virtual tour and supporting Alice and you.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are in the world on this Tuesday, the 27th of July, 2021. And some really quick housekeeping things. There are more live streams coming up. A few of them are just pending the actual confirmation. So if you'd like to know more about what I have coming up, you can follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram, and some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If you're new to my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button, I always appreciate that. It won't do anything other than possibly put like a video reminder to your recommendations on the side. If you want to know what's coming up, you can hit the notification bell, because that will send something to your inbox every time I have a upcoming live stream. But be aware, there's probably quite a few that are going to be coming to your inbox if you do that. I try to be as transparent as possible. Sometimes people see these things, but people just keep saying, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that kind of thing. They don't really know what it does, so they don't really want to do it. So just be aware that if you hit notification bell, you'll get emails. And yeah, I'm really excited to do this. For people that aren't aware, I started doing these virtual live streams a year and a few months ago on the Alice virtual tour. And the little clip that I just showed was kind of cringeworthy for me to see myself like that. But if you would also like to ask my guest a question, you can just subscribe to the channel, and pretty much instantly you should have access to the chat. So through YouTube, and if you're following me over on the Twitch side of things, you can also add something over there, and I'll try to incorporate those as I go. But as I was saying, what I wanted to do is, since it's been over a year, I wanted to invite some guests back from the Alice tour from the first leg. We're calling it Chapter 1. And so this is the second guest that has had time in her schedule to come join me. So that's why I'm really excited to catch up with her and see what's going on. So let's get to everything. My guest today is a pop recording artist. She first joined me back in May of 2020 on the Alice virtual tour. As a part of my catch-up series, she is back to update us on everything she's been up to over the last year. Please welcome back to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mariah Belgrod.
Hello.
Hi, Mariah. How are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So good to see you. Thank you for taking the time again.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Like, I will make any time in my schedule ever if you ever want to chat.
Oh, thank you. I so appreciate that. And it's yeah, as we were talking pre-show, it's kind of weird to look back at the timeline of when the virtual things have happened that you've been a part of, the one-on-one. Again, when I was watching that clip, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
I know you said something about feeling like cringe-worthy at yourself, and I was like looking at myself being like cringing. But you know, we all change so much, especially given like the circumstances of the world. I feel like so much of our lives have just been at home and focusing on certain things, and a lot of that has been ourselves. So
Yeah, that's very true. I do look at that old footage of myself, and I'm like, that really does feel like a different person. I've grown a lot. My viewpoints have developed a bit as I've learned more from what's happened in society and talking with guests. And kind of like, wow, this is really, it's really good, but it's also just really kind of bizarre at the same time. Looking back, like, who is that guy?
Yeah, it's like an old chapter of yourself, but it's still you. Makes up you.
Yeah, and I see Rachel Dixon saying huge hello to you. Oh,
Oh,
both.
hi.
Okay. Just subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Rachel. That's really nice of you to do. And
Yeah, thank you, Rachel.
For those that don't know, Mariah and I, God, now I think about this, I first saw you perform live almost 2 years ago. It was
I was gonna ask you, because we had met before all the virtual stuff, and you had come to see one of my shows in Seattle, and yeah, that was 2 years ago or 3.
It was.
I think it's 2.
It was 2. It was 2019 August, because then we did the in-person interview in January of 2020.
That's right.
Right before all the craziness happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got that in.
Yeah. So it's interesting. God, I didn't think so. The first guest that came back last week, Eva, was saying the same thing, that, you know what, Mark, we actually have a longer history, because I had met her in person before COVID and everything, and you're in the same. That's a weird coincidence that I'd known you prior to it too. And then here we are, all these months, and in some cases years later.
I was gonna say, I talk about really changing from that was like when I first started performing too, out in the public realm, and I feel like so much has happened since that performance date. Like, my life was chaos up until the pandemic, and then it became even more chaotic. But
yeah, no, it's such a strange time. And I'm even thinking back to, like, because I had another guest ask me, Mark, how did we first meet? And I'm trying to think, how did I first hear about you? And then I'm guessing it was through social media somewhere.
It had to have been. Yeah, I was definitely at that point trying to make my name more known in Seattle. So probably some sort, or I had a manager at the time, so maybe she reached out to you. I'm not sure, but
yeah, some way it happened. But I'm just glad it happened.
I know. I was just saying that. Like, I'm glad it did. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Because I always love speaking with you, because when we spoke in January during that one-on-one interview, I don't know, you just ask different questions, and you're very real to talk to, and I relate to you on like a lot of ways deeper than just surface level questions. So.
Well, I feel the same way. I think we kind of resonated with each other when we first talked in person, and for people, all of the interview that we're talking about from January 2020, it's on my YouTube channel, so you can go back there and see it. I know thousands of people have already looked at it. And then the thing that we talk about from the Alice tour that Mariah was a part, including that clip that I just showed, that's on the YouTube channel. So if you want to spend some time and do a deep dive, you can look at that, and the fun table session she's a part of the inaugural one that I did just about a year ago on the 31st of July, and the Halloween one, and the symposiums with Sydney and Aviv, and with Ashlyn and Tiger Lily, and a lot of great things. But here you are, where I've got just you. So
just me.
This is awesome. So let's see, let's start with music.
Okay.
The last time I talked with you, Team Player had come out, and you had the video for it. And so where are we from that? What have you been working on? What's kind of coming up down the pipeline? What have I missed?
Yeah, so actually I've been working on new singles that I've written. I just got the finals back a couple days ago. So now I'm developing kind of like my strategy for how I want to embody them through an image, and how I want to market them, all the exciting and nervous feelings of releasing a new track. That's been really fun. And I have one scheduled. I don't have an official release date, but next month at some point, I'm going to be dropping a new single. I just did the cover shoot for it yesterday. So we're going to go through the 1,200 photos we took and pick one. It's going to be daunting. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. I took some time through COVID to kind of delve into myself and just like figure out what do I want to be as an artist. And I'm kind of going for a more dark pop vibe for these next singles, which I'm excited. It's kind of just like an announcement of like, I am woman. They're a little more adult, a little more dark and sensual, and I'm excited about it.
Wow, that sounds really intriguing. And I've had the the distinct pleasure to talk to many female musical artists, and I think that's been kind of a recurring theme about empowerment, but also because of what's gone on the last 15 months, and some change, that's been influencing their writing. So there's a little bit of a darkness to that empowerment piece. It kind of sound like something similar that you're going to be exploring too.
Yeah, I think it's a fun thing to explore, and it's convenient that it's also in at the time, like people are resonating with that type of stuff. So hopefully it helps me reach a larger audience of people to be able to connect with my new music.
Yeah. You already have such a following, and like when I first met you, you had a huge following, and this is going to potentially broaden it out. And it sounds like, and it happens, it doesn't really matter what your age is, that there's still an availability to have a maturation process. Even if you're my age, I can still mature a little bit more into some area.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think when I wrote Team Player, I was like 20. Now I'm turning 24. So it's just like, that's a big gap. There's a lot of change that comes in between those years. And I started music when I was a kid. So kind of going through the growing pains of starting as a 7-year-old in musical theater, and then growing up and finding yourself in the industry, and finding your identity and how you want to be portrayed and how you want to connect with people. It's a journey, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that age gap, because I've told people on my outside of my Muggle job things that I've done.
Muggle job, I love it.
Yeah, that came from a professional dancer when she was saying when COVID hit, she and her fellow dancers had to get Muggle jobs. And I'm like, I love that.
I love that. Yes, if I have to get a Muggle job, I'm going to use it.
Yeah, because I think
copyright that.
Yep. I mentioned something to her about I had to go to my survival job, and it's you have a Muggle job too, and I'm like, oh,
that's amazing.
That's a perfect term for it. But yeah, I remember talking to some of the college students, and from that 18 to really like 25, that's a really critical period of time where, yes, legally you're an adult or whatever when you're 18, and 21 you can vote and all that, but there's so much change that happens during that time, and people are usually really, really idealistic during that time, and hopefully life doesn't, beat that idealism out of them, because it tends to try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go back, so when you turn, in a couple of years, when you turn 25, and you look back when you were 18, it's going to look like a huge, probably like a 20-year difference. Even
oh my gosh. Yeah, I if I could just go back and be a fly on the wall for 18-year-old Mariah, I'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd also laugh at myself a lot. But yeah, just totally different human for the better in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and like we were saying, everyone's going to keep continuing to grow and mature and possibly improve, hopefully, throughout different phases of your life. And
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's when you stop doing that when there's a bit of an issue.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think like the last few years, I've really put my priorities in check. And I think moving to Seattle helped me do that. It removed me from where I was comfortable, pushed me outside my comfort zone. I didn't have like my friends, my family, my favorite restaurants to go to. Like all of the comforts of home were removed. And I had to kind of navigate who is Mariah when she doesn't have these things to lean on. So it helped me prioritize what was important to me. And then now I'm back on the East Coast and I get to spend time with my family, and just having these moments where my parents are no longer parents, they're friends. We're at a point where I'm not being rebellious teenage Mariah, I'm being loving, supportive friend Mariah to them. And it's been really rewarding. And like, these are moments I know I'm going to look back in 20 years and be like, I'm so glad I'm having these times with them.
Well, that's really great to hear. And it's interesting how your relationship with your parents changes over the years, and it'll change again too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can think back to when I was your age with my parents, and I don't want to say I was a mess, but I definitely had my issues. I'm sure I was not probably the easiest person to communicate with, because I wasn't sure what I wanted at that time. And I was still living at home when I was 23. Yeah, because I was starting to teach and all that kind of thing. So it's interesting now that, the relationship has really changed in many, many good ways with both my Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think there's like, you go through where they're your caretaker and, you know, they raise you, and then you go through your friend phase, and then you go to where the roles may reverse, where you as the child are like looking after them and for whatever purposes or health reasons. And so I'm definitely just enjoying the now before those types of things start to come up.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time to enjoy that. I'm kind of slowly moving into that other phase where, you become the caretaker and the one after. What's kind of scary is that sometimes I'll do things that I'm like, I wouldn't have done this 10 years ago. I mean, like, what happened to me? So I was like, everyone in my immediate family are all just getting older. So I was like, we're all making like goofy mistakes and forgetting.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird. Like my oldest brother, he's 10 years older than me. And he's like, I'm turning 34 this year. And I'm like, geez Louise, where did the time go? You know, just, we look back at old pictures and he was like, I was your age in this photo. And it doesn't even feel like that long ago, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it just that thing where it becomes really life is really too short. So you got to make the most of it now and don't wait till tomorrow. And I'll do this later. And no, do it now, because later becomes 10 years later and then 20 years later. And like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yeah, I wish I would have done that thing when I had the time.
Yeah, and like you're telling me pre-show, you love to travel, so it's great that you're gonna get a chance to do that at some point when it's right. And don't be that person like somebody that I know who put some things off, and it's like, well, and I don't know if I can financially afford to do some of those things, but they'll kind of get fixed up. But with your music kind of taking or being flavored with a more of a dark, maybe mature pop sound. Is there ever a concern of alienating some of your earlier fans?
Yeah, that definitely has been a factor of concern, but I am just like a true believer in putting art out to connect with people and being genuine about it. And I think resonating music that's genuine to me, I think earlier fans will understand, like, this is Mariah, like this, they'll appreciate being on that journey with me of growth and change and, sticking along. Like, because so many people who have been an early fan, they have a lot of pride in it, which I love. They're like, I've known you from the beginning. I've known you from day one. And that makes me so excited to see how they stuck along for that journey. So it makes me excited to give them something refreshing and new and unexpected. I love unpredictability. So I hope they can appreciate that. But it definitely was a factor when I was writing this music. I was like, do I do this? And I was like, yeah, I got to stay true to myself.
It's very well said. And I don't think that'll ever change when someone becomes a fan of somebody when they're starting off early. And they can kind of hang their hat on that. It's like, I saw you when you were playing a coffee shop or whatever. And playing stadiums or whatever it is, everything in between. And I think because of how you've gone about your business, being really transparent about everything that you do and doing it for the right reasons, that's what's the underlying connection with your fans, that you could come out probably with a rap album / country album / metal thing, and they might still find some reason to like it, because at the core they know you're doing it authentically. It's not something that's manufactured, like, well, I think if I put this out I might finally get to that next level. It's like, no, this is what I want to do right now, so hopefully you like it.
And then that way, that when I reach new fans, or if I got signed to a label or something, if that growth happens, I know I'm doing it because I want to do it and I have a vision and I have that. I think a lot of people crumble when they don't have that authentic aspect of being themselves and true to themselves, because they're listening to everyone's ideas, and then you feel so lost. And I feel completely found. I feel just very grounded, and I have like my visions and I'm ready to go.
The conversations we've had, and we've had many, always come across very authentic and very transparent. But I have to tell you, the energy coming from you right now is really something new, and it meaning that in a really, really good, positive.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. When you connected before we went live, I was kind of like, wow, you seem like you're in a really good place.
I really am, and it feels so foreign to me. I manage anxiety and depression, and since I moved back from Seattle to Pennsylvania, that transition was very challenging for me, but also very empowering. to where I just feel like excited about life. And I haven't had much anxiety or depression. And if I do, I'm like, wow, this is really weird. Like, what is this? And before that was my everyday. And having people like, I've had people come up to me in the grocery store and just be like, you have like just such a nice aura about you, or you're just glowing. And I'm like, thank you. That is the most meaningful thing I could hear, you know, just being happy and having that resonate with other people or connecting with people is my drive in life. So
yeah, if I ran into your grocery store over there, I would like, wow, that gal's really happy right now.
I'll have what she's having. Yeah.
Exactly. Give me a double or whatever she's on.
Yeah, right.
I could use some. But no, that makes me really happy for you.
Thank you.
Because you definitely deserve it, and hopefully it's just going to be something that you keep adding on to it, and you keep exploring things, and it gives you new avenues to continue to be happy and inspired about what you do in life. So, and I know a lot of the people. I still remember after we did that first interview over a year ago that a lot of people were talking about in the chat about how present you were, and they said, "Wow, she's really great," and so they're trying to Google you and look up your stuff on YouTube and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and here you are. That same person with these extra additional positive layers on top of it now. So it's even better.
Yeah. And like I was saying, like it feels weird to be happy. But I think because it's something that's just foreign to me, and I've been trying to just enjoy the moments, you know, like I've been really trying to live in the moment more. If I'm driving to the grocery store, instead of worrying like, what do I have to get at the grocery store? What do I have to do here or there later? I roll down my window and I'm like, let me just enjoy the breeze on my hand, or let me just enjoy the song on the radio. Like, stop focusing so much on X, Y, and Z. What do I have to do? Focus on just living and being and existing. You know?
That's a really good way to look at things, and it's something I probably need to adopt myself.
It takes training. Like I'm literally training myself to be like, Mariah, just take a moment. Roll down the window, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy the stars in the sky, like just be present. And it's not something my brain automatically does, but once you start training yourself and practicing it, I find a lot of mindfulness and happiness in it.
Yeah, it's something I need to adopt because I actually came back together with all the members of Alice back in April to kind of talk about the anniversary of the tour. Back in May, I already forgot what time we did the tour. It was May 22nd, but I was talking about that during that tour, a lot of times I just kept looking forward to what's the next thing, because I'm trying to prepare for all this stuff. So I missed actually enjoying a lot of the things that I was doing at that time. And so it's kind of like what you're just talking about. It's like, instead of thinking about what am I getting from the grocery store, what's going on right now? Well, yeah, it's a beautiful day out. Maybe there's a great song on the radio, whatever, and kind of put those things together and enjoy that moment of it instead of the next 10 minutes or the next hour, or the next even day or week or whatever. And my mind spins that way all the time and never just says stop.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I've set designated time. Like Sunday night, I will write down everything I have to do for the week. I'll make my little checklist, you know, because I love my list and my planning still. And that will be my mindful, dedicated time to those thoughts. And then anything after that, I'll go through my checklist, and it feels great to like wipe something off. But otherwise, like, I'm not going to worry about writing things down and planning and focusing on this and that. Like, I'll just be and go through the motions in a happy way.
Yeah, well, clearly it's working.
Yeah. Yes, we got to get people on board for this routine. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm serious. I need to start adopting some pieces of this because things just become like, after a while, I'm like, well, why am I doing anything? Because I just keep staying a step ahead of it. And instead of like, even like today. So when I'm done this afternoon, what am I going to be working on? I start thinking about, well, I got this tomorrow and I got that on Thursday. I got that on Friday, instead of like, well, maybe I should go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or just kind of just don't look at any, you know, devices and computers.
Oh yeah. The devices and computers are a huge thing. Like, I've just been like deteching, and all of my friends keep making fun of me. They're like, Mariah, if we text you, you're going to answer in 4 to 7 business days. And I'm like, yeah, so what? I'm just living my life. Like, I'll get back to you. I care about you. I love you as my friend, but I'm going to just like focus on not having to stare at a screen and compare my life to these people who are doing this and that, and just like enjoy what I'm doing.
And that's so good. And I've talked many times with different guests about social media pros and cons. And I know we've talked about it. And it's just something where yeah, it's a necessary evil depending on what you do, but at the same time, it's become where it just takes over your life, depending on, even if it's the first thing you do, if you grab your phone and say, oh, it's on Instagram, or look at this TikTok video or anything like that. And then how much time I'm basically wasting looking at the stuff when I can look at it in small doses later when I really do have some downtime. But it's almost like it's ingrained itself in the culture that you feel compelled, almost like a drug.
Yeah, I really think it is. And I think like I'll be watching a movie with friends and I look over and they're all just on their phones. What are you doing? We're watching a movie. Why are you on your phone? There's 2 screens. You can't like you can multitask, but just enjoy what you're doing. Instagram and Twitter, all that stuff's gonna be there later. So yeah, it's always there. Oh, and that's the good and bad. It's always there. There's always something new to see.
Yeah, I think you don't realize how connected you are to it until you go someplace where you don't have any service.
And then you watch people panic. They're checking. Do you have service? How many bars do you have? Just like, oh well, can't check your phone for an hour. Boo.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I remember several years ago going up to the San Juan Islands here in Washington, and once I got onto the ferry, I had no service, and it was so strange. So I'm like, so what do I do now?
Yeah, right. Do I just look out the window? Yeah. Even on an airplane, like I can't imagine how many people pay for Wi-Fi because they can't sit X amount of time without being on their phone for some sort of reason. It's so interesting.
Yeah, and it's a weird transition because I remember once I got off the ferry and got to the cabin where we were staying, I didn't have any service there. So then it's kind of like I didn't realize how compulsive it had become of me grabbing my phone. It's like, and after like a day or two, then I got used to it. It's like, oh, there used to be a life for me, at least because I'm so old, where there wasn't things anyway. But it just took a while to realize, dang, I didn't realize how attached to my phone I am.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't leave the room without it. I know I'm guilty. If I go out and I drive somewhere and I leave the house without my phone, I turn around and come back because I'm like, oh, I can't go somewhere. Well, and it's part safety, part being addicted to my phone. But we'll go with the safety side, so I feel better. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, because I had somebody, as we were talking pre-show, that I had shot a wedding last Saturday, and somebody there was asking me when they found out about my history of doing photo shoots and all that kind of thing. So Mark, if you started doing that in 2005, so what did you do like to meet models? Like if they couldn't make it or if you're running late or whatever? I said, well, there were, flip phones and stuff, but kind of text them, you had to press, the button 3 times to get a letter.
Yeah. I remember I used to be so quick at it back in the day, back when I was a kid. But yeah, now you just you can even just talk to your phone. Like, I'm going to the store and it'll put it in for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to tell them at one point I'd forgotten my phone. And I had to figure out, do I have access? Do I have the number somewhere? And I didn't. And then I had to start thinking, what did I used to do? I said, well, you went to a pay phone.
Oh my goodness. They don't even have them anymore.
Yeah, and you had to hope that you had quarters to use them or make a collect call.
Yeah.
Which is completely foreign depending on how old you're. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm like, just carry around your little carrier pigeon, tie a little string to the foot and toss it away. Let's all go back to that. That'd be funny.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is that then we start talking about, so what do you think it's going to be like, say, 10 years from now? We're going to look back and remember when you had a smartphone and you just, oh God, that was so ancient. And how do we get out of those prehistoric days? And I don't know what we're going to have.
I'm scared. I'm petrified. That thought petrifies me. We're going to have you can just be able to see everything through some sort of lens that you put on your eye or something. And you're going to be able to FaceTime through your eyeballs. Who knows?
Yeah. I actually think that's where it's heading. I think it's going to be something like a contact lens or an implant in your ear or some kind of weird thing that will do all these things that we do now using a device that you won't. That'll be truly hands-free. You won't have to do anything. But like, hey, I need to start this live stream and like touch my temple or something.
Yeah. Oh no. Don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, I better stop down that path.
Yeah, that's a scary path.
That is a scary path.
We'll get there when we get there. Talking about looking ahead, I'm not looking ahead that far.
Yeah, well, and kind of steering things back to with your music and everything, is it ever going to get to a point where, because I know you've collaborated with other people, if the right offer came along, would you ever consider like fronting a band?
Yeah, if the right offer came along, most definitely. I love performing live. I enjoy playing instruments, but not to a confidence degree of being in front of an audience doing it. So yeah, if a band ever approached me and we had similar, because there's a lot of people and a lot of ideas that go into a band. So it would have to be similar ideas and, artistic visions. But if that came along, I would definitely take the offer up for sure.
Okay. All right. And kind of along the same lines, what if there was almost like a slam dunk of you joining like a musical theater that's touring around the country?
Yeah, that's something I genuinely want to do now. But getting into it is very intimidating. Like tomorrow I'm starting back dance classes. So I'm going to a dance class because that's pretty much required nowadays to be in musical theater. But yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about and I enjoy, and I feel like my voice was at a very healthy place when I was doing like live performances 8 days a week, 8 shows a week, 8 days a week, 8 shows a week. Yeah, so that would be like top tier for me to get back into. I would love for that.
Okay, well that's great to hear that you're going to be starting up dance lessons again, and with an intention of like what you're trying to move yourself toward. I'm always fascinated when I talk to the musical theater folks because of singing, dancing, acting, all these things that they have to be able to put together for any given role that they're going to be doing on stage. Let alone working with an ensemble of people, obviously, and all the other talent that's around them on and off the stage. That I can't wait for that stuff to start coming. And I know, like here in Seattle, well, if it stays on schedule, it's supposed to start coming back in October officially on the large scale. So
that's super exciting. I know. I think Broadway is supposed to come back like mid-September. I think September 10th was when they said. So I would like to go and see a show and get some inspiration to get back out there.
Yeah, that would be great. And so I see Rachel's from Melbourne, Australia. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. It's I feel like it's late. What time is it there?
Yeah, because it's 12:34 here. So I should know this because I've done interviews with Australia.
Yeah, I was like, if anyone knows this, it's you.
Crap. Or maybe is it early Wednesday?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, or really, really late. Yeah, because I know like in the UK it's 8 hours from now, Germany it's 9 hours from now, South Africa it's 10 hours from now.
No, yeah, I've been playing video games, and a lot of my friends are from like the UK or South Africa, I have a friend in Hawaii. So keeping track of their time zones is already challenging enough. I don't know how you do it.
And it's only just become because of repetition. The first time when I had to start dealing with it, I was constantly double checking like through Google or whatever, like, okay, Seattle PDT is what up here. Because I would get it messed up in my head. And then like I just had one with a guest from Siberia.
Oh wow.
And he thought it was 11 hours. Oh, she says it's 5:30 a.m. Okay, so it's really early.
Yeah. Well, good morning, good night, whichever end of your day you're on.
Yeah. And he thought it was 11-hour difference between Seattle and Siberia. It turns out it was a 13-hour difference between.
Ooh.
So trying to schedule things, I just said, well, I can stay up late. I don't have a problem. I'm a night owl, so you don't mind doing like a morning thing. So I think it was like 11 for him and like 10 at night for me.
Okay, dang.
But yeah, that's
whatever you got to do to make it work.
Yeah, that's one of the skills that I guess I picked up during the pandemic is kind of knowing time zones around the world.
I'm not going to Google anymore. I'm just going to message you. Like, Mark, what time is it here?
Yeah, and maybe I'll get it right.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, we'll kind of go from there. And I this morning I was talking to two film directors of a documentary, which also kind of brings up something for me. With your background, have you ever thought about entering film in any capacity, either behind the camera, in front of it, or maybe even have your life turned into a documentary, having a film crew around you?
That would be so cool. I haven't ever even thought of that. I mean, I love being behind the camera. I was just talking to my friend yesterday at the photo shoot for my new single cover about kind of like what it would be like to start some sort of videography or photography business. Like, what would the investment look like for that? to kind of do portraits or adventure sessions or just small things on the side, because I do genuinely love to connect with people and capture moments and have them be able to like share them with their friends and family or hang them on their wall. You know, it's like people love having good photos of themselves. And making people comfortable in front of a camera is hard to do, but I feel like I would have fun doing that. But yeah, I thought more on the photography side that would be fun, but like doing some sort of documentary on my life. I say to my family all the time that our family would be a great family to have, like you know, like the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but not like that, you know, similar, like just following our little chaotic lives. That would be really funny. So I'm gonna doc this for later and think about it more.
Okay, yeah, it kind of dawned on me that just even beyond just your family, but just yourself, your story, I think would be something that would come across really well on film.
Yeah.
And you've done so much in a short period of time that you still have all these other chapters to write, obviously. So
yeah, and I think it would be cool for me to be able to look back at this chapter 20 years from now and be like, oh, this is the Mariah 20 years from now, or 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think those two filmmakers, one's in DC and one's in New York right now. So if they're watching,
yeah, hey,
let me connect you.
That's too funny. I would love for that.
Yeah, it's another thing that I'm extremely grateful for that's happened during the pandemic time, is being able to review films, and this year in particular of all these film festivals that I've been a part of. So hearing that side of things from something that I know really nothing about other than just being a fan of liking to watch stuff. I don't know how to. And like those guys were saying, you know, that film took them 5 years to film spurts and getting okays and all these kind of things. And then narratives change because in that period of time, look how much could happen and change in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's why.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's always amazing to me how people can have their baby, you know, 5 years worth of work, and it's interesting for me too, for like casting things for non-documentaries or just like TV shows and stuff. You know, you cast someone as a younger person and then they grow up and kind of evolving the character as they grow, or you know, you don't know what they're gonna be like the kids in Harry Potter, for example. We're talking about Muggles. They all grew up to be really great people. But they didn't know that when they casted them when they were 10 years old, 11 years old. So it's a very interesting side of things. I would love to be a casting director. Like that would be so fun.
I could really, like you were saying earlier, I could really see you doing the if it's as a videographer, as a photographer, as a casting director, someone that's connecting with people, because you have such a nice way about you anyway, so people would instantly warm up to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Feel that they could trust you and that they would be good hands. And that actually, that's, now I'm thinking about it, that same point came up this morning in the other interview where their main subject was okay with the idea of being filmed, and so he was incarcerated, and but he was being in a program where he was learning how to be a firefighter while he was incarcerated.
Oh wow.
But there was times when he didn't, his mind, you know, his mood and everything changed. He's like, I don't want to be a part of this. And they're kind of like, we just shot 2 years of you. We need you to come back. And eventually he did.
Okay.
And just kind of watching what he had gone through. But yeah, they were looking at, I think they had maybe about 3 years worth of his life as this firefighter.
Wow.
And then he got out of prison, jail, out of the correction system, so they went back into society. So then they were doing the follow-ups with him that way.
That's very interesting.
It is. It's a fascinating film, and I'm not trying to talk about something else when I have you right in front of me.
Oh no, I'm so interested in all of this stuff anyway, so like I would watch this.
Yeah, it's called Fireboys. It comes out next Tuesday, a week from today.
Okay.
So it'll be available on all the digital platforms.
Yay! Yeah, that's gonna be my late night TV watching.
Yeah, and again, I could see you trying to do something, and it could be maybe you find someone just where you are now, or like maybe it's not about your life, but you find someone else's story that sounds really interesting to you, so you want to tell it either through still video.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a big, huge, feature film. It could be a 5-minute thing that you do on your iPhone or whatever.
Exactly, just for practice and to get that, see like if the passion is there. Like music is obviously my number one love. But it's not something, given like my vocal capacity and my genre, that I'm going to be able to do forever. And I'm passionate about other things. So it's just now is a time of my life where I'm enjoying my music, but I'm also trying to find like what's next for Mariah, like whether that's film or photography, or I'm very passionate about food, potentially starting some sort of food or lifestyle business or brand. And that's something I'm working on in my like Instagram and my social media, is making it more about me than about the music, so that people are there for Mariah and not just for like the songs that I put out. That's like a big mindset for me, is to connect with people as Mariah the human and not Mariah the musician.
That's really smart, because they talk about with salespeople, that if you're a good salesperson, you could sell anything to anyone. It doesn't matter what your product was. So if you start off as a car salesperson and then you switch to vacuum cleaners, because of how you do your business, people are invested in you, not the product per se.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's the same thing that you're talking about, that it's great that you love my music and everything, but here's all these other facets of who I am and what I love and what I represent. And it makes, and you're talking about food, and you've mentioned that several times, that you're a foodie. Have you ever considered doing like a live stream on Twitch where you're cooking?
Yes, so I actually just started my Twitch channel last week. I did my first stream. Follow me, Mariah Belgrod, Twitch TV. But it was so daunting. I've been saying I wanted to do this for 2 years, and it's something I've been putting off. And I did it for the first time. I was very excited. Lots of technical difficulties, but you know, you live and you learn, and it's not about being perfect. It's just about having fun. But yeah, so I've been doing video games, and I'm going to incorporate music in there. Like once a month, I'll do a Twitch show. But I do want to like send out an ingredient list at some point to my email subscribers or people who sign up for my newsletter. And then we can cook, like they can get the ingredients and have the recipe beforehand. And then they can like cook a meal with me and hang out while we cook, and I make a mess in the kitchen. So that's something I've been really excited about doing, but I want to do it when I'm more comfortable on the platform of Twitch. So yeah.
Well, that's great that you started your Twitch channel, and that sounds like people have that to look forward to eventually, when you feel comfortable enough that I think I'm ready to do this, and setting out the ingredient list, and everyone can make a mess in their respective kitchens.
Yeah, we all don't have to clean each other's dishes, I promise.
That'll be a lot of fun. And the professional dancer who coined that Muggle job term. Sorry, Talitha, if you're watching this, but she's such a great sport about it. So she was starting to do a Twitch stream, and I think she still does it when she can. And she says, Mark, I'm a horrible cook. I'm terrible. But she started doing those. She started doing cooking sessions on her Twitch channel. And one of them, she actually had a small kitchen fire during the stream.
No way. How did that not go viral? That is like, if you're going to do it, you got to go viral. That's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know, it was small, so they managed to put it out. Everybody was fine, so that was the main thing. But yeah, I was just like, when she said that, I'm like, and she was just laughing about it. That's how how bad I am. I actually had a fire.
Oh my goodness. Well, the smoke alarm was cheering her on, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope that doesn't happen to you.
No, fingers crossed. I'm using my parents' kitchen, so they would not be happy with me. But I cook enough. Like I cook 4 nights a week, so I think I can make it through, hopefully. But the nerves might get the better of me. We'll see.
Well, that's part of the fun, and you know about this. Just doing anything live. Stuff can happen that you didn't anticipate. You couldn't have anticipated in some cases.
Yeah.
And you just have to roll with it the best you can, and that actually helps develop a skill set. So the next time something happens, maybe it won't seem like such a big deal. I know that happened to me.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had tons of things come up, and it's I'm sure you're like great under pressure and having to wing it per se and just make things work.
Yeah, it forces you to, because I'm such a person that loves to have everything in a row and kind of know what's coming up and everything just ready to, every anticipation of every possible thing that could go wrong for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there's gonna be something that I couldn't anticipate. Just damn, what do I do now with this? And it just helps you, remind you, you know what, kind of like you were saying earlier, one, be present, just kind of enjoy what's going on. Don't put so much stock into this. It was like a small blip on a really good stream or whatever.
Yeah. Oh no, he dropped out. He said this may happen. So we're going to hang out until he comes back.
I can't
Yay.
believe that happened.
It happened. I was like, I'm so glad you told me earlier.
And it happened right when I'm talking about glitches and having to deal with rolling with the punches.
Adversity.
All of a sudden
Look at
I
that.
disappear. I saw the time. I said, I think we might be able to get past, because it tends to happen like 30 to 35 minutes into these interviews.
Oh, you thought we were in the clear?
We're past it, and then there, I disappeared for 5 seconds. Back. It's just strange time. It's almost like some big brother kind of knows, like they're listening to what I'm saying. Okay, let's
click
take
the
him
button
back
now. Let's prove his point. Test him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm back and I feel fine. So I'm not.
Yay! Welcome back.
I don't have anxiety over that or anything.
Yeah. Good. Me neither.
But yeah, I think there's so many things based on your skill set and how you are as a person and everything you've built up that it really could take you in so many different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice that, at least since I've known you, you've never been somebody that comes across like you're trying to pigeonhole yourself at all. It's always been like, here's what I'm working on, but here's some other things that are part of me. And when they're ready, those are going to kind of start to blossom as well. And now it sounds like there's even more things that you're really kind of looking at and opening your mind to. And at the same time, just taking a breath. And putting those together so that you really put out the best version of yourself.
Exactly. And I think like a huge thing that I've been working on, as well as like trying to live in the moment, is like relinquishing worry of things that I have no control over. Like if I have no control over, I literally just put my hands up. Okay, this is what I can do given my circumstances, and I'm not going to worry about it beyond that, because it does nothing for the situation.
Yeah, and that's that's going to be something I think actually a lot of people can kind of learn to do. And I've told other people this a lot, that just learning how to be self-aware of what those things are in your life. That's like half the battle, because once you figure it out, then you can decide, how am I going to react to this in the future, or in some cases not react to it. Yeah,
I think self-awareness is one of the most important qualities to me and people that I surround myself with. Because it's just so pivotal and important in life to just grow in growth. It's the only, I feel like it's the only way you really can grow, is if you're aware of your surroundings and yourself, and how you can read a room, and just those small things, they all add up to making someone pleasant to be around, for me personally.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's the same thing for me, that I want to know kind of how what their intention is with pretty much everything they do in their life. And it doesn't have to be some big thing. How do you intend to have fun today? What do you do? Maybe you're somebody who's so like wrapped up in their seriousness, they can't laugh about anything, including themselves.
Yeah.
And I can't help but notice that stuff.
No, I think that's how we relate in a lot of ways, like that level of being able to have a good first impression of someone and read someone's intentions, and find out what makes them tick, and just their purpose. I don't know, and it's the people that I can't read that kind of scare me, because I'm like, oh, what's going on? You're mysterious, like got a little question mark.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've always kind of known, based on what other people have told me over the years, that I have a really strong intuition about people. And so if I come in, and there was one guy I had worked with where I was like, there's something off with this guy, but I can't put my finger on it. And it bugged me, because I'm like, usually I can kind of size people up pretty quick and feel good about them, not good about them, somewhere in the middle. This guy, he was like this question mark. And I'm like, so what's going on? And he was okay with me as a worker, but then down the road, I found out, he had some issues going on outside of here that were basically criminal.
Wow.
And I think that's what I couldn't put my finger on, because there's all these pieces that had nothing to do with the job, had everything to do with what he was doing outside of work.
Yeah.
And once I found out what had happened, I'm like, oh man, I mean, this.
It's hard. It's a blessing and a curse to have that superpower.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't help but notice, like, someone could just walk by me that I don't even necessarily know, and I'll just pick up a vibe from them, and it's kind of like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And it could be somebody at my Muggle job who I don't know. I don't even know their name, but I'll see them passing, and they're just something that just kind of starts speaking to me, and I'm like, I wish I could turn this off.
I know. I say that all the time. Like, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll be checking out, and the cashier will tell me that, like, start crying and be like, my boyfriend broke up with me, and just start telling me their life story. And I'm like, I'm just here to get my apples. You know, I just wish I could turn off that thing that people just think that they can unload their emotion. And now that I'm at a point in my life where I can kind of put my shield up and be like, all right, I'll listen, but I'm going to give this back to you. I'm not taking this on as my own emotional overload because I have my own stuff to worry about. It's a matter of either deciding you want to not deal with it at all, or if you want to deal with it, put up your shield.
Yeah, and that's an important lesson to learn. And I had to learn it quite a few years ago about knowing when to say no, or to stop, or to not take it personally, and about putting all that weight on me. Because that stuff adds up quick.
Yeah, it's just a matter of putting those boundaries for your own emotional health and mental health, because like sometimes I would get so stressed and I'd be like, my life is great, why am I stressed? And then I would reflect and realize that it was other people's problems that were burdening me. I'm like, why is this burdening me? It's not my issue.
Exactly. And there's something like you use that example of being at the grocery store and someone starts, telling you about their life's problems. And there's something that I think some people start picking up on that vibe from you, or someone like me, where they just start unloading. They just kind of feel comfortable with you to do it.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn how to tell people, you know what, I would love to hear this, but not today. I just can't take it on today. I'm already having a rough day myself.
That's good that you can do that, though. Not everyone's able to have that conversation, and then they wear themselves down.
It took a while to get there.
Practice, yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Like the first few times I said it, I felt really bad. I felt really uncomfortable. I felt like I was like not being a good friend to that person. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? This is all they do. They do this all the time. And like, and I can't deal with it today. So
I know. I think a quote that I heard that really stuck with me is like, the only people who care that you have boundaries are the ones who want to like take advantage of you not having them, So it's like, if someone's mad at you for not being able to support them in a moment, it's like they're not seeing the value of your friendship.
Yeah, it's very well said. It's really on them that they're to a point where their issues are so great that they can't even see what they're doing to other people.
Yeah, the self-awareness.
Yep. And thankfully, I'm in a place now where I think I have that balance. I do know myself really, really well.
That's good.
And kind of knowing when I need to say, yeah, here's the shield's going up.
Getting the titanium steel going up here.
Yeah, you hear that buzzing sound? Yeah. That's my shield going up. So you need to stop, and I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, I love that. But that makes me happy to hear that you're in a place that you can do that type of stuff.
Yeah, and it's really something that either for yourself or anybody else that's watching this, if you kind of resonate with what we're talking about, that it's really important that you do learn it. You can't go the way you're going if you're not putting up that shield at times, because it'll create all kinds of problems in your life, just like what Mariah said, that aren't yours. They're not yours at all. And you're trying to maybe be empathetic and trying to help somebody out, and you need to do that at times, for sure. I still do that, but not all the time. You can't be an open book 24/7 where, hey, who else has got a problem that they want to tell me?
Yeah, right.
Even if you do it professionally as a counselor or a therapist, even those people need a break.
100%. Yeah, I can't imagine sitting and listening to people talk about their challenges for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I would be a bloated alcoholic or something.
I would just sleep in the hours that I'm not working. I need to sleep this off.
Yeah. Well, Mariah, to kind of wrap this up, so you kind of mentioned about the music and the singles and kind of where stylistically things are headed. Is there anything else within the next 3 months into the fall that we can kind of talk about, that you can kind of mention to your fans and for new people out there?
Well, yeah, the new music is very exciting. I also am the Twitch stream, so you can expect to see me. I'm going to try and develop some sort of consistent schedule where you can hang out with me, whether I'm just working on music stuff or writing, songwriting, or I'm playing video games, just to let people kind of get more involved in my life. And along for the weird adventures of my day, you meet my dog, Addie. So the Twitch is kind of something when I'm not able to go outside and the weather's kind of getting crappy in Pennsylvania and, all that fun stuff, that I'm going to be investing a lot of time into harnessing and growing my community, because I love my community. I have the best, like everyone says this, but I think I have the best fans in the world. And I just want to keep growing that and making my community stronger and just more full of fun people. I also have a Discord server now that I announced my live streams. I announced that I would be doing this today. So you can kind of get more behind the scenes looks, and I go in there. I'm going to be trying to go in there for like phone calls and video chats like once every 2 weeks with my fans, where we can just hang out and either play video games or listen to music or just talk and get to know each other more. So really trying to just connect with my fan base. So yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, it sounds like there's clearly a lot of ways to connect with
Yeah.
if you're a fan, either old or new or somewhere in between, and that's great. And Mariah, I mean, genuinely, I want to thank you for just for being a friend from the first time I met you, and the interviews we've done in person, virtually. Everything that you're doing is something that is extremely transparent and something that completely resonates with me. And anytime you want to ever do anything, I'm always going to be in your corner.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I sincerely appreciate that. I got a chance to just come across you somehow through social media a couple of years ago, and here we are, a couple of years later. That you're somebody that I really admire and respect. So thank you so much for always taking the time with me.
Oh, absolutely. Right back at you. I definitely, once my new songs come out, we have more stuff to talk about. I'd love to connect and see where you're at and hear more about all the projects you're working on and vice versa. So always here.
Sounds good. Yeah. Anytime you want to do it, we'll jump right back on this platform. Hopefully I won't disappear at that point.
We made it to 45 minutes. It's okay.
Yeah. I just be in the present, Mark. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the
exactly. Yeah. The small blip doesn't change the fact that this was a great hour.
There we go. Well, enjoy your evening over there. Much and everything else that you're doing. And before I let you go, have you had any pie now that you're back over there?
I have. I've been eating so many sweets and savories and all the good fixings in Amish country. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see I eat a lot, and you'll probably I get messages at like 3 a.m. of people being like, "I hate you, now I want Dairy Queen," or "I hate you, now I want this." I'm like, "Go get it, go live your life."
Oh, well, that's odd. I always think about, I think the pie thing came up in your stream with that on the Alice tour about, because some people were actually starting to look up, I think, Lancaster and all this kind of thing about, oh yeah, they're known for this kind of pie. And they're known for this.
Yeah, shoe fly pies, whoopie pies, mincemeat pies. We got all the pies here.
Well, now you're making me hungry because I haven't eaten anything yet. So.
Well, go eat.
That's the plan.
I'll encourage it. All right. Well, thank you, Mark, so much.
Yeah.
Of course. I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.